For years, Dragon Ball fans have asked, what would happen if Imperfect Cell absorbed 18 first and not 17? Well, Xenoverse 2 does not give you that answer because second form Cell is not in the game, but they give you a different situation. What if Imperfect Cell absorbed both of them at the same time? Now, what's interesting about this what if scenario is that on the surface, it doesn't really seem like it's a big deal. I mean, Cell absorbed them both, he became perfect, and that was going to happen no matter what. So you would think that if he absorbed them both at the same time, what's the difference? But actually there is a major difference, and that's the fact that Cell first became aware of how strong the Z Fighters could become when he fought Vegeta in his second form. And if you remember, Vegeta was the one that told them that they know a place where they can get really strong within 24 hours, which is of course the Room of Spirit and Time / Hyperbolic Time Chamber. So if you remember, when Cell talked to Trunks in the Dragon Ball Z series, he asked him, can you get strong again? And Trunks is like, yeah, why? And that's what inspired Cell to create the Cell game. So if the events happen any differently because of causality and because of the butterfly effect, the Cell games may not happen, and thus time might not be correct, and that's what we're trying to avoid here. So the Time Patrollers have to get involved and send you back to make sure the events take place the way they should. Cell shows up, 16 shows up, but of course we've got involvement from the Time Breakers, which could screw things up.
What are you doing, 16? You aren't really going to fight, are you?
I really like this what if scenario because it shows that even a small change that might not appear to be a major one could still end up having adverse effects on how the timeline turns out. So Cell does become perfect, and he does, as he's supposed to do, create the Cell games, but in this version of the events, there is a new person at the Cell games that wasn't there originally, and that is Mira, who is there to continue to gather energy from the various battles and wreak havoc in order for Towa to get the energy and break the seal in the Demon Realm. So Mira wants to get involved in the Cell games, and it's up to Xeno Trunks to hop in there and prevent that from happening. Now, the idea of Mira and Towa wanting to break open the seal of the Demon Realm, really is mostly Towa, is something that she wants to bring about because she is the sister of Dabura. And in the Dragon Ball Hero storyline, she's actually seeking revenge on Majin Buu, but this wasn't really explored in Xenoverse 2. It was more so one of those wispy mustaches, I'm a villain who wants to conquer the world type of scenarios, not really a revenge plot. In fact, Dabura isn't even in this game, which is kind of interesting. Maybe he'll be in the next one, I don't know. The next big change in the story is that we see the arrival of Meta Cooler, but not just one, an entire army of Metal Coolers. And they try to get involved in interrupting the Cell games, and it's up to you to stop them. One of the things that I absolutely love about the Metal Cooler movie is that even though it's not the best movie and it's got some animation wonkiness to it, I love the fact that that one Dragon Ball movie has so many references and tributes to science fiction. We've got Star Trek references, we've got Marvel Comics and Star Wars references. I just love the fact that Takao Koyama, who was the writer of that movie, he took so much inspiration from so many different things. Case in point, Metal Cooler himself. Metal Cooler is a takeoff of Ultron. Those of you guys who saw Avengers Age of Ultron, you saw all the Ultron clones they had to fight. Same thing with Metal Cooler. The Ultron comic book storyline took place before the movie came out, so they drew inspiration from that. And of course, the big Getty star is kind of a combination Death Star slash V'ger from Star Wars and Star Trek. So there's just so much cool stuff in this movie, even though it's a little weird. I love it. Plus, what about the fact that Metal Cooler knows how to do the instant transmission, the instantaneous movement? As a fan, I dig it. I dig it. I really do. The story of Xenoverse 2 then takes a very interesting twist.
Gohan? You're still alive?
We'll fix that soon enough. Kill him. Full power.
Gohan! No, it can't be. Gohan! Gohan!
The history of Trunks chapter was the one that I was looking forward to the most before playing this game and going through the story. And it's also, I think, the best part of the game, and it really added layers of development to future Trunks. For years, Gohan and Trunks fans have always wondered what would happen if future Gohan never died. I think future Gohan is one of the most popular iterations of Gohan because of the fact that he's got balls and he's willing to do what it takes to defend the planet, and he fails, but he tries his ass off over and over and over again. I would say he's probably the second most popular iteration of Gohan. And unfortunately for the game, they couldn't program him with one arm, which has been a problem with games for quite some time now. But I'm still very happy that he was included. A lot of Dragon Ball fans make comparisons about the anime versus the manga version of the history of Trunks' story, and the vast majority that I've spoken to in all my years of being a fan love the anime version more. The emotional moment where Gohan is found dead by Trunks, and the fact that it seems to really flesh out the story a bit better, more than the 15 pages of the manga did. I really enjoyed that more, and this of course adapts that version. And obviously Xeno Trunks has a much deeper connection to the history of Trunks' story because, well, it was him and he lived through it, so it's almost like he has a case of PTSD, where every time he gets reminded of what happened, he tends to kind of slip a little bit. Recently, Quamman did a video called "Does Android 16 Exist in the Future?" Well, in this version of the story, he does, and obviously it's a result of the Time Breakers getting involved, and it's up to the Time Patrol to make sure that this doesn't happen because, once again, we're screwing around with the natural course of events. Android 16 definitely did not belong in that timeline. Little known fact though, a lot of fans may or may not know about 16. 16 was actually designed by Dr. Gero, or Dr. Gero in the dub, based on his own son who died as a member of the Red Ribbon Army. His look and his demeanor are said to be based on his son, but unfortunately as a result of that, he was considered a failure because of his soft-spoken, connection with nature. Or so we believe. I mean, he's considered a failure, but we really don't know why, but that's what's implied. Of course, this is from a Toriyama interview from just a few years ago. So here we have Mira appearing in the future, and I've spoken about this before, but Mira's origins in Dragon Ball video game universe, the online Heroes and Xenoverse, is that Towa created Mira sort of like a newer, better version of Cell. He is a being created by several cells of different races, just like Cell was, and he evolves and becomes stronger over time. Of course, with the defeat of Android 16, Mira shows up here to try to once again screw around and get more energy. to open up the gates of the demon realm. Now, during the fight, something very interesting happens in this version of the events. Future Gohan recognizes Trunks, but he's confused as to why he's not only older, but why he's even there. Meanwhile, Trunks himself, who's been trained and coached by the Supreme Kai of Time since becoming a time patroller and been warned and chastised for going through time and making changes, which he already did in the regular series, lets his emotions take control of him. He doesn't want to leave Gohan behind, so it becomes like a Saving Private Ryan type of thing where Trunks does not want things to go the same way, even though he knows they kind of have to. So this is a tough situation, but it leads to one of the most epic and badass moments in this entire story.
Even against 3 of you, I am far stronger. I must be. I won't let you kill Gohan!
Trunks, you came from the future, didn't you? So Bulma was able to finish her time machine. I'm really proud of you, Trunks.
Thanks!
Right. It's not the time for this. 17 and 18 are attacking the city.
You're right. And this time, Gohan. Gohan, I'll go with you to fight. This time, I won't hold you back.
What are you saying? You know you're not allowed to do that, Trunks. If you help out Gohan here, you'll change the course of history.
I know. But
Trunks?
Please, you have to stop Trunks.
Trunks. Is there something you want to tell me? If you're here, all grown up, then the future is safe, isn't it? And so, this fight has a real purpose. That's enough for me.
No! You can't! Gohan!
Trunks, it looks like you've made a good friend. You can't abandon a good friend, can you? It was really good to see you, Trunks.
Gohan!
So as a result of Trunks stepping in when he wasn't supposed to, the timeline actually got even more botched up in that it turns out that Android 16 was actually not fully defeated, but that's not the big twist here. Few years later, Cell appears and absorbs 17 and 18 and becomes perfect in the future. And this, of course, has very bad ramifications and has really screwed up that future timeline.
It's all finally over. Everyone. I have to thank you, too.
Gohan? You're still alive?
We'll fix that soon enough. Kill him. Full power.
I will never die. Even if my body breaks. Another will rise in my place. To dismantle you heartless androids.
History has been altered slightly by Trunks, and the Supreme Kai of Time is a little bit irritated, but the Elder Kai insists that, well, it's not really a big deal. We should just leave it how it is. So with that being said, now in this new future, does Gohan successfully beat the androids and not die? Well, at the end of the game, there is a bonus mission that may indeed allow you to change the future. With that being said, I'm going to bring this video to a close, and next time we'll talk about the Majin Buu arc and some interference from some sinister characters. I'll catch you down the road.